Hello everyone and welcome to your horoscope for the week of October the 21st till 27th, 2024. We are ahead of a very powerful week, but then again, I think I said it almost all throughout the summer and definitely all throughout the autumn, but this is the period, this is the uh, time that we are in. This is when almost every day comes with its own unique intensity, and especially this period, uh, because on one hand, we are just slowly stepping out of the eclipse phase in the sense that the eclipses might still be working, they might still be ongoing, but now it's truly in the background because whatever has to manifest doesn't need to be anymore all that much expressively in our awareness because we already got the big picture. So now those energies can just start working, as I said, in the background. Who knows, from the moment when the eclipse took place, and this is, I'm speaking much more about the solar eclipse, so that we had in the sign of Libra at the very beginning of October. So from the beginning of October, give 6 months. That's usually the sphere of manifestation, but because we had a really powerful and super full moon, so powerful in a rather physical, real life sense as well, um, in the sign of Aries, that full moon kind of invited us out from the eclipse sphere zone. However, again, I must say, that doesn't mean it's over, it just means it's working in the background. But there are so very many other things at play besides the stepping out of the eclipse effect, and that is Pluto going direct and exiting for the final time the sign of Capricorn in our lifetimes, of course. So it is slowly but surely moving out of the sign of Capricorn and preparing to re-enter the 0 degree of Aquarius, which will complete in November. But for the present moment, it is still hanging around at the 29 degree because it's not very quick, it's not very fast. It is just barely starting to pick up speed. And the same goes for Jupiter as well, just that Jupiter went retrograde, but it still doesn't have any relevant movement. It will only move a few minutes, so it will go to 20 degree of Gemini this week. However, it is still intense and it matters very, very much because, as you can see at the very beginning of the week, so this is where we're already starting the week, Moon conjunct Jupiter, emotion moon, and especially collectively here, because the Aries full moon, as we can very well observe, we just need to look at the news, so to speak, whatever source you are using. Uh, a lot has happened in the world stage. It was super explosive. Also, eliminating the head of theme also played out. So, long story short, on the world stage, it's, how should I say, it's very, very, very action oriented. This is where the energies of Libra are playing out massively, not just because there is a lot of activity in the diplomatic field or relations between countries, agreements, contracts between nations, and deals, you know what I mean. But that's just one part. But the fluctuation, anything that happens is weighed. Do you know the skills of justice? Weighing an information when we see it, we don't take it for granted. We don't believe it, and we weigh it. Or we see a good deal, maybe a few months or years back, we would simply jump to it. Now we weigh it. Or we are in front of an initiation, of action to do something, speak something, reach out, or whatever. Maybe under the effect of all the eclipses, Libra and Pisces eclipse, right? But also Chiron activated in the sign of Aries, and also a lot of other things that have went on in the past couple of months. Now we weigh it. And I see this playing out in people who are naturally not like that. For example, very strong Aries energy. This is just an example. Or some kind of explosive Taurian energy. Those individuals are, how should I say? For them, it is extraordinary challenge to weigh your actions or words or your impulse before it gets out, because it comes deeply from the instinct center, right? But these past, let's say, years, I saw personally that they even trained the hardest Aries, to weigh, weigh, or at least have a very good try to weigh before any kind of action initiation, or you get what I mean. So you see, Libra, the modus operandi of its energy, that is playing out very intensely in many things in our lives, even in things which are not, how should I say, directly ruled or correlated to Libra. Still, the energy is really, really the modus operandi, especially the weighing, and also indecision. um I don't want to get into the hot stuff here, but when a, let's say, ceasefire deal is taking a ridiculously, like extremely ridiculously long time, well, that's like indecision. They can't reach an agreement, the compromise, it cannot be done. So that's also Libra energy, when not deficitary, let's say, when the Libra energy is not doing very okay. It cannot decide, it cannot initiate, it cannot do a lot. The good part of the Libra energy, well, I so very much hope that it plays out soon, is that when the, Venus, the ruler of Libra, the love or the value of whatever, the ideology, or in our case, the value of peace, when it is so supreme that nothing else can touch it anymore, then, it will be done. One way or another, it already exists, because it exists in the internal decision Libra. It is needed. So it has to exist. So the shadow side and the light side of Libra, how very much they're playing out in the world, in anything modus operandi, and our lives as well. But we cannot forget Libra. Libra, okay, I mentioned Libra, not just because we still have the sun there at the beginning of the week, and Mercury was there, Venus, so it was really emphasized. The eclipse was there, Black Moon Lilith is there, a few dwarf planets are there, and of course the South Node. But then we need to analyze Aries, because Aries is a more important host, if you get what I mean, because it's the North Node, it is the future, it is what we are progressing towards. The South Node is the past. So the Libra is, let's release the bad type of weighing, if you know what. Let's release the misuse of our Libra energies. That's pretty simple, and we also see it in the world stage. The Aries invites us to uh improvise, and Aries is very much activated this week. Uh, Not just because Chiron converses, um, but Mars, for example, but also because Aries is making some key moves. at the very beginning of the week, she opposes the sun. So immediately, the chaos factor, the surprise factor, the rebellious factor in diplomacy. I have to give a very complicated example here. And again, this is not my opinion. I am not on anyone's side. I don't have any opinion whatsoever. I am simply just sharing with you what you can find on in the news out there. So that the assassination of the leader of a certain organization, well, on one hand, that's a bit Aries, the leader of, also Capricorn, Pluto in Capricorn, right? Top-down authority, even if it's a organization which is deemed illegal by some, Ixion in Capricorn, right? It doesn't matter, it's still the head of. And then we have the Libra energy, where what effect does it have morally and philosophically? Because if we look at morality and philosophy together, well, we enter the domain of either Libra, right? Libra, the more down-to-earth version of all of these values. Sagittarius, the more elevated version. And then if we necessarily have to, we must include Pisces, but Pisces is the realm of surreal, so it's not real. So that's why I'm not necessarily including Pisces here, you know? So Sagittarius and both of these signs are very active this week. Again, I have to say with Libra and Sagittarius, it's, you know, all about philosophy and what it does. And where I'm going with this is philosophy many times matters so very much because it is the animate factor, right? What animates our basically every part of our being in a larger sense. Because I'm not saying that it animates us when we need to go to the toilet, and I'm sorry for this. But when a country's leader and diplomatic stuff and government politics, mass finance, like a country's economy, local, whatever, that's already where it's everything is animated by a principle. Everything is animated by philosophy. Everything is really philosophy, one that we make real, willingly choosing it, Libra, right? So, what I want to say, so very many things in life are more complex than they seem. So, a non-confrontational energy like Libra, right? Actually, it animates confrontations as well, just not the way we might think classically. So, yes. And Libra is going to be important because of the South Node, Venus, the ruler, sextiling from Sagittarius, the South Node. Hence, philosophy, right? Libra, Sagittarius, and law, philosophy, anything international, long distance travel. But with Venus, the value there. Do I love it? Who do I love? And how should I put this? Also at the beginning of the week, Sun squaring Pluto. Chances are love is not there for anyone or anything that failed. And when I say failed, it failed the people. Moon conjunct Jupiter. Moon in mundane astrology is how the people feel, and everything, you know, subjective about the people. So what the people want, what the people aspire, how the people feel in the present, that's very much the moon. Conjunct Jupiter amplified. They don't just feel it, they think it, say it, communicate it. It travels. Some news and not everything travels so very, 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 very quickly. However, also at the beginning of the week, we have a yacht formation, a finger of God. Oh, let me highlight this a little bit more. So the sun is here, and it is quincunxed by Uranus and Neptune. So you can see the finger of God pointing here like this. This is such a strange. Okay, quincunx, of course, strangeness goes hand in hand always with quincunx. But Neptune and Pisces, the power of illusion, not everything is as it seems. The spirit oozes in everything. And under times like this, the polarity of the spirit, even though what I'm saying is not necessarily true in a technical sense, but I have to make it ridiculously simple for us to understand the thought process. So let's say that spirit is polarized, right? Pisces duality. Right now it isn't. Right now isn't in the sense that everything shows its teeth. Everything can be aggressive, everything can be mean. Light doesn't mean that it's peaceful. Or like let me give you some very simple examples. Angels, as they appear in the Judo-Christian culture or in the, Kabbalistic culture, well, they're not, how should I say, not necessarily embodiments of peace, neither are they how they're depicted in the Renaissance era. They're forces of pure divine execution. So if someone presses the delete button, it comes and deletes it, the angel, the angelic entity, the angelic construct, because ultimately that's what it is, a construct. But, in this new age movement where earth angels and little babies flying and my angel is here, oh, I'm surrounded by angels. You say angels, but those are not angels. Those are, how should I say, angelic earth angels or earth spirits, benevolent, which are very close to the human and elemental realms. What we might read about biblically are not those benevolent beings. They don't even take sides. They blindly execute. They're like programmers, right? When you type a command line and you press enter, it won't care. It will execute it. So you know what I mean? This is going to be very, very important because everything will be both benevolent and malevolent at the same time. Why? Because this is when the universe says everything that is phonetic is it doesn't matter if it's light or dark, Christ or Antichrist. If it's fanatic, it has to go in the trash can. Fanaticism is judged, condemned, because this is the cycle. This is when, if you look at larger cycles of thousands of years, there are certain periods when perhaps fanaticism is a zealotry or divine fervorous passion, right? Is a must because it is the only thing that gets the job done. There are other cycles when that is a no-go, where that would defeat everything, the whole game. And this is the period of these hundreds of years when fanaticism and rigidity of tradition is purged out. It doesn't matter how aggressively it wants to survive, it is purged out from any side. This is where there is no there in this sense there is no light and dark. Anything that is rigidly, aggressively fanatic, ultimately, Plutonian singularity at its maximum, well, it will be eliminated. It will be 29 degree of not just Capricorn in 2025, Aries. So I'm so sorry, Pisces, I want to say. Pisces and Taurus, Uranus will swing a bit into Gemini. That's elimination. And something that everything has in common, every planet, is that it condemns rigid, blind fanaticism and stupid, foolish faith. Saturn and Neptune together in Pisces, especially at the 29 degree. Not now, but it's already taking place, it's already happening. That clearly says faith, especially that which needs to be embodied and needs to exist in an earthly way, Saturn, right? Has to be free. Has to be, well, if it's an illusion, everything is an illusion, no problem. If it's optional, it's okay. If it's non-optional, not okay. But then Uranus in the sign of Taurus says the same thing. Taurus fixed sign, let us release that which cannot be tamed. You know? Imagine going back to pre-Stone Age or whenever they try to tame, cattle, cows, what. There were specimen bulls, which Taurus, which simply could not be tamed regardless of what you did with them. Uranus raises the awareness, and that needs to be eliminated, right? So this is what's happening on the world stage, and we see this. Regardless if it's the Middle East or the Western world. In the Western world, the war is mediatic and psychological. The war is in the soul, where externally it looks like peace, but the soul is on fire. The soul is clawing the opponent. Of course, symbolically, but not even symbolically, sadly, because we see this play out. Even this part we see play out so very clear. The hypocrisy, for example. The hypocrisy is when one person, one soul, approaches another soul, and it's smiles and handshake, but energetically they are like two scorpions stinging each other to death. That's what. So this energy is playing out in any way, shape, and form. If you're a hermit, like me, no problem. It plays out inside of your psyche. No one is free from this. So long story short, the yod. Things are gonna get weird. We will see weird things that don't make sense. Like weird speeches from world leaders, Freudian slips, and the classic declassification of documents, which should be held very, very, very secret. But surprise, surprise, revelation. And you know what all of that will do. But let's speak about some. Oh, before I speak about the positive energy, there's one more thing that is really a must to mention. Mars squaring Chiron and Aries. A very, very not easy energy. Well, this affects mostly family dynamics. I'm not necessarily saying that it has to be like battles and fights and, the big family scandals. This can play out as a struggle where the family can be truly on the same page, best friends, allies, but the situation that they're facing together is hard. There we go. Moving house, Mars retrograde this year in December from 7th degree of Leo, it will retrograde back to Cancer. That will always mean house, housing, real estate, what to do with my land, with my house. Not necessarily some people to sell it, invest, upgrade, or for other people, where is home? What does home mean to me? For some people, it's not house in the material sense, but the feeling of it. Where do I feel at home? For other people, it's Cancer, nurture, and the mother's breast, understand it symbolically, etc., etc. But you can see how in family, when family members and extended family is also involved, how this will be a not very easy energy, however, decisive and very important, because this will answer big questions that the family or the individual can simply not answer on its own. Let me give you an example. How do I truly feel about that relative? And sometimes we don't know. Because, for mommies, daddies, brothers, someone's sake, we are tolerant, peaceful, smile, we don't judge. But sometimes karma says, well, be honest. And then is when the Chiron squaring Mars, right? The wounds are given. But this is inevitable. Sometimes, the lessons of Aries, self-control, self-discipline, everything that basically I've said. Yes, but when the truth must be voiced, then self-discipline in order to hide the truth is not an option. So certain moments, the truth comes out. And Mercury trining Saturn, now let's get to the good part, supports this. I know it's a trine, it's flowy, but it may not feel like a massive blessing straight away, because this energy can be saying painful things. Admission, speaking out secrets. But when I say secret, of course, the classic ones, and we see that play out on the world stage. But this is also where certain secrets need time for the person, for example, to muster the courage, the strength to say it, or you get what I mean. Time is here for big conversation, big speeches, big release, this can be very tearful, lacrimogenic, as they say, but it's needed. This is a healing cry or healing tears, healing conversations. As difficult, hard, painful as it may be, now's the time. Really, now's the time. Mercury is super helpful in this sense in Scorpio, because it can, how should I say, pull to the surface. It can word it. It understands the self. It understands, at least partially, the other. So difficult conversations can be held. On the other hand, Mars trines Neptune. And this Mars-Neptune trine is gonna perfect all through the week. That is also, as I said, Mars squaring Aries and Chiron. That's your confrontations and the need to act. But when I say act, in a sense that react better. React, act or react in order to have clarity, not just in your life, but as I said, either family dynamics or community or where you belong or house. Not a very easy energy. But the Mars Neptune trine, that's where you know that it's necessary. You feel the self love. You feel that you must support yourself. And I do believe that this is the large lesson of all this week. Because Venus trines North Node. Venus, remember, in Sagittarius. So that's where our feelings and our sense of worth and value in Sagittarius, how should I explain this the best way? They're a bit high. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean that they're not that they're unrealistic and exaggerate. Yeah, this can play out that way as well. I cannot say no. But the positive expression is in that high, that kind of is a truth, our upper limit. Chances are we rarely touch the upper limit, but it is truthful and authentic within us. So this is a really good aspect for people who always struggle with low self-worth. And when I say low self-worth, please don't come with the positive attitude and all the self-love and the modern psychology, because that's not what I'm talking about. For some people, low self-worth is innate and it is a divine tool. God does things in that person's life with the low self-worth. It's negative, but it cannot heal because it's God's tool. You know what I mean? I'm speaking about that kind of low self-worth. And if you're asking me what can God do with low self-worth? Well, it can put the person into situations where pride would have you forsake the soul that God wants you to save. Because maybe only you, with that little self-worth of yours, have the guts and the love it takes to help a person who maybe even the most compassionate healers wouldn't want to help. You know what I mean? Sometimes God can only act through these special low self-worth people. And of course, that means that in their own personal lives, usually it's not nice. Because the low self-worth people for whom it's a divine gift, well, they kind of need a partner always to allow them to have healthy low self-worth, as in the sense that if they have a partner who loves them and respects them and knows the situation, they're gonna thrive. Their strange Venus is not gonna be a problem for them. However, if they do not, then it's bad, but it's good. You know what I mean? It's bad for the person because it will always get them into tearful situations, but for the divine, it's like an open door to help the most vulnerable, because you need to be in a certain way vulnerable maximally for the energy to match, because sometimes vulnerable people will not show themselves, but they cannot deny energy. They cannot stay close to a person who they sense the same energy that they have. You understand what I mean? So for these type of people, this is the Venus they need, because this is what gets them there to the right job interview or value and worth. So this is one of the saving graces. And where I actually want to go with this energy is that the core element of this week is where, and this is the thought that I started before Venus, the universe is asking us to, now I don't even know how to word this very correctly. I want to say support ourselves, but this doesn't do it justice because we must see the situation from a more deep perspective. Many times in our lives, things don't work out, even if we do everything like textbook or even Excel. We do everything perfectly and it's no result. And many times, do you know why? Because deep inside our own spirit, you know what I mean? We are not necessarily supportive, but we are not truly on our own side, if that makes sense. Maybe I have to give my own example. Now I have the worst relationship or whatever you call social or love or whatever it has to do with people life. Zero. But you can imagine this is always like this. And I didn't really know what I was doing wrong. Because when I really did not even want to, I don't know that anyone to know that I exist, the energy is weird and I'm wanted. But I don't, you know what? But when I'm okay, that's when it's weird. And I couldn't figure out how is this possible? I know I know every domain that would one way or another explain this. Okay, I'm not an expert, but I know enough to know if it's the case or not the case. And I couldn't figure it out until, no, when I'm really in trouble, what can I do? I channel. I'm a channeler. That's what I do. And I channeled the right spirit or call it whatever you want. And it just said, dude, you're not on your side. And I said, are you mad? How can I be not on my side when I'm doing this, that, and all the list? And then the list, how much I've changed my ways, how much I learned, my boundaries, my whatever. And it's all of that is in your sense BS, because that's not what you should have been doing. And I said, what is it then? Being on your side is simply your attitude towards a situation or something about you, but in spirit, not in ego, not in emotion, not necessarily in pure soul, but the highest possible in spirit. It is spirit, not your own spirit that you must convince to be your biggest fan. Usually people with Leo moon in a very good position have that as a blessing in life. They're born like that. Their spirit is their biggest fan. You can imagine how easily and quickly they make friends. They literally don't have to do anything but ignorantly walk on the street. They will be found by friend, lovers, admirer, even enemies, karmic enemies. But Leo moon's karmic enemies, they, of course, love will triumph. Leo, love, heart, matter. If everyone, the rest of us manage to be our supporter, our fan, our friend in spirit, that's when things are gonna go the right way. And you might ask yourself, but how is it even possible that I'm not supporting myself exactly in spirit? Because maybe I'm a very spiritual person, because why would you listen to a horoscope for other reason? But if you would, detach yourself from your own situation, that you is you, let's say that you is not you for a second, then look at the pattern, and what would you judge? In spirit, you probably wouldn't necessarily be on your side, but you would be on blind, impossible, max idealistic justice side. And that's immediately a game changer. An imperfect world, an imperfect reality, an imperfect being, an imperfect anything needs an imperfect energy. It needs it. Perfect is a no-go. Perfect is incompatible. Aspiring way too much for perfection is self-defeat. In spirit, you're criticizing and judging your modus operandi harshly. This is where you're embodying your spirit, but you're not enjoying your show. So how can life be good? The show that you present to the gods, to the stars, to the archons, to your fellow souls, to the spirit, the show of the story of your life that you're currently showing, if you're not enjoying it, if you're not a fan of it, that means that you're a slave to it. And that's not good. Okay, it can do anything in your life, in matter, but one thing will always elude you: happiness. So this is why all of the energy of this week is teaching us, be on our side. The trines will only be a true blessing felt and experienced if we are on our side. An erratic Neptune, especially later on next year, will only give us the big dream if we are on our side. If we condemn the dreamers, then how can we expect the universe to raise us to the starry sky? So this is Mercury trine Saturn, super complicated and super overly philosophized. So I'm really, really sorry about that. Now let's whiz through the rest of the week because I bored you, but what I said is more important than all of the astrology. This is what we must do right now. So on the 22nd, Raul's birthday. So I would like to wish you, Raul, a very, very happy and blessed birthday, good health, and may all your dreams come true. And thank you for all your support. And besides Raul's birthday, we have the moon in Cancer. Again, preparing the emotion, preparing Mars, because Mars is in the moon's home, in the moon's castle. So she is, how should I say, almost like massaging his shoulders for him to take strong action, or better said, to endure impotence and inaction for a few days when Mars will oppose Pluto. And all through this is the week where we are building towards that. That aspect will perfect. I do believe next week, yes, next week, but we're already feeling it, even at the beginning of the week. The beginning of a certain kind of impotence. But when I say impotence, don't understand the medical term for it. Powerlessness, but this is a sacred one. We will experience true power within powerlessness. For example, I know that this is the bad example, the Hangman Tarot card. When the Christ or Buddha or Odin or any other figure had to take that time out, the hangman, under the tree, 40 days or meditation or rigorous, some kind of rigorous trial of solitude and hermit mode. That you surrender every ounce of power that you have inside of you, bodily, non-bodily, spirit, soul, and everything you have, you surrender. A few days of that. Now, of course, that will not be fantastic for mental health. That will not, that in the world stage, that will be super tearful, because what will it mean? Something so tyrannical will happen that the whole world will feel impotent. Okay, but we don't want to focus on that, right? So expect that. But again, there is a massive blessing in that. For example, you don't have the power to save your relationship. Well, if it's if saving your relationship means hunting your husband, partner, and preventing him from being infidel, well, you're wasting your time, right? Sometimes the universe stops you. Not this time, honey. Let him do it. This is just an example. I'm not prophesizing anything. So don't get into panic mode, ladies. This is just an example where the impotence is the saving grace. Or let me not be sexist, vice versa, where your thingy just doesn't work and she shows her true colors, how toxic she is. Thank God it didn't work. You know what I mean? So there's that. And unfortunately, Raul, it's your birthday, right? And the sun holds the square to Pluto. But, oh, sorry, I think it was a technical difficulty, right? I hope I haven't messed up the recording. So, sun square Pluto. Well, personally speaking, a heavy decision or something. It's not all that big deal because it's a very quick energy. On the roll stage, however, oh, it will be something, definitely. But even personally, I'm saying it's not a big energy because it's quick, but it can mean the moment you say yes or no to the big contract, to the divorce, to the relationship. But it's not big because chances are you already know what you will do. You understand what I'm saying. That's why I'm not focusing on it. Juno will oppose Aries. And the reason I need to mention this is because this will be surprise in relationship. When the ex makes a move that you really didn't expect, and neither will you expect your positive reaction to it or your negative reaction to it. You know what I mean? Because maybe your ex will do a gesture so nice that it would sweep everyone off their feet, and it turns you into a savage wildcat. So we'll see how Aries will twist and complicate things. And Vesta also trines Uranus, Vesta from Virgo. So that is a really, really good energy, because what that says is it is impossible for a problem to exist that does not have solution, even if it's a paradox. Because Vesta is the sacred flame, right? It does not live in the realm of rationale and logic. In the realm of fire, the more intense the heat and the fire and the burning is, every possibility opens. When there is fire, the hotter it gets, the possibilities just broaden. On the 24th, we have Mars conjunct the moon. Again, a very emotional day. 25th, Mars trine Neptune, the power of love, the power of faith, the power of compassion, the power of family, the power of unity, the power of solidarity, the power of people united in spirit, united in faith, united in love, united in heart. These are the best expressions of it. Big inspiration for artists, big healing moment, purge for. So this is a really, really fantastic and wonderful energy, a blessing. However, keep in mind, it can be cleansing tears. It can be very tearful. It can be a big release, a big emotional release. But you know how positive all of that is. On the 27th, we have Mercury holding a quincunx with Jupiter, but Jupiter is in Mercury's sign and Mercury is in Jupiter's sign. So mutual receptivity. Both planets. Oh, I'm so sorry. I wanted to say Venus opposing Jupiter with mutual receptivity. Mercury and Jupiter do not have mutual receptivity. Sorry about that. It is just Jupiter being in Mercury's sign of Gemini, so not mutual. It is Mercury who is the executioner of whatever Jupiter is doing in Gemini. But anyway, where I want to get news. Big news. A lot of news. And everything that we hear and reaches the public, it's both true and both a lie. Because it's very perspective oriented and at the same time, a result of investigation. So that will face ridiculous denial, as in the evidence is there, but the government, the organization, or whatever says that's not true. But it's true because you can see it, it's there. So there will be big, big, big battles and stuff like that. And also, at the very end of the week, Venus starts holding her square with Saturn. So exactly as high as we go with our love, with our aspiration, with spending, with what we think we deserve, what my right is. But when I say my right, not in a legal sense, in this modern sense that, oh, I deserve everything that is nice, everything that is pampering, and that stuff. So we must be careful with that, because Saturn is not going to have any of that. Saturn in Pisces is aggressively, super, hyper aggressively humbling. It has to be. Because it doesn't, Pisces is classical. It doesn't like modern psychology. Neither does Saturn. Venus in Jupiter is the opposite. It loves all that. Pamper, I'm worth it. I deserve the best. I'm the best of the best. My right, my every. So these energies will clash. So, let's balance it out. Let's not get, let's not allow the Venusian high to flood our brains, but neither can we allow Saturn to take away Venus's spark, glamour, her magic in the sign of Sagittarius. Because she's free. She should be dreaming and loving life. So we must balance this energy out. I think I said enough for today. So thank you so much for listening. And really sorry about this really long horoscope, but even I'm affected by these energies. So yeah, thank you again. Until next time, bye for now.